What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very well. Grab your coffee. We're going to talk about Frost Decay. I'm finally getting to it. You can all stop yelling now. I do feel bad. Man, I've been trying to look at this for a while. I've just been really busy with work, and sometimes you're just busy doing other things. I also feel like sometimes these other classes like Frost Decay or like DK in general, things like Warlock, sometimes the way that these classes operate, just like I really have to take a minute to wrap my head around it. And that might sound really silly to those of you guys who like play these classes as your main. But I play a lot of different classes, and it just takes a bit of time for me to work on this stuff. So we're getting to it. We're going to start with Frost Decay because it's easier than Unholy Decay. We'll get to Unholy Decay, but my God, I think this is a little bit easier to understand. 3 things I want to talk about. I want to talk about getting Death and Decay for Frost Decay. I want to talk about the Breath of Sindragosa build that I have tried on the dummies and really didn't like, TLDR. And then the Obliterate build. In particular, the Obliterate build with Death and Decay, which is a brand new idea for Frost Decay. So let's get into it right now. What are we talking about? Well, both Blood Decay and Unholy Decay, when they put Death and Decay down on the ground, their Heart Strike, and I think it's Pestilence Strike, will cleave. They'll cleave to other targets. So you have to get Death and Decay down. It's an important ability for Unholy and for Blood. For Frost Decay, it has not traditionally been important at all. And I'm going to shrink this actually a little bit because you guys, people keep whining and complaining about not being able to see my talents. So we're going to shrink it there. Are you happy? Is everybody happy now? So Frost Decay has not used Death and Decay. Not for the last expansion, not for the expansion before, like for years, I think. And now they added this in to Dragonflight, which is going to essentially further enable the Obliterate build. So Obliterate will now hit 1 additional enemy while you remain within Death and Decay. So this is just like Sweeping Strikes for Arms Warrior. It's just like Havoc for Demo Lock. Destro Lock. Sorry, not Demo, Demonology. Destro Lock gets Havoc, right? Arms Warrior gets Sweeping Strikes. So now, actually, Frost Death Knight can sort of move into this camp of like a 2-target cleave build with Obliterate when you have Death and Decay down, which is kind of interesting. So you have some prio damage, or if you only have 2 targets, if there's a dungeon where you have 2 massive targets that you're fighting at once, this is like double your money, right, for your value. Very, very strong. The other extra talent you're going to take with it on the class side is this one, Death's Echo, which is just an all-around amazing talent. Death's Advance, Death and Decay, and Death Grip have an additional charge. Are you kidding me, dude? The value of this talent alone is absurd. So this is what you're going to take if you're doing the Obliterate build, which is basically the left side of the tree. That's what you're looking at. A lot of the left side stuff. You have things like Frigid Executioner. These were both legendaries in Shadowlands, okay? Then you have Obliteration at the bottom, which is when Pillar of Frost is active. Every time you press either Frost Strike or Great Glacial Advance or Howling Blast, you will get Killing Machine, and you have a 30% chance to generate a rune. So they really made Obliteration better than the old version. The old version was like, you kind of needed to press Frost Strike in order to trigger it. So they've baked in Glacial Advance now to add into that. One little note about Glacial Advance really quick is that it applies Razorice to the enemy now. So that's what it always did. And of course you can get Rune of Razorice, but it looks to me like they've changed Rune of Razorice now, which now says engrave your weapon with a rune that causes 77% extra weapon damage as Frost and increases your enemy's vulnerability to your Frost attacks by 3%, stacking up to 5 times. So I guess it is that second bar. Never mind. I guess it feels like this 77% extra weapon damage wasn't there before. Like, I feel like it wasn't that high. You guys who play this, let me know. I don't feel like Rune of Razorice used to be this much extra damage. And if I'm just insane, then fair enough. Bottom line is, with the class tree, you're going to be getting this Obliteration bonus here. Cleaving Strikes, Death's Echo. You're going to take all the Obliteration talents, and you're just going to go to town. And basically, you're going to do your regular rotation. You're just going to be adding in Death and Decay sort of whenever you have a good amount of runes ready to go. Or in particular with Pillars of Frost. You kind of always want to line up your Death and Decays with Pillars of Frost because you're going to be getting the reset on Obliterate, and you can just cleave it, cleave it, cleave it. And that's what you want to be doing, right? So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is my my frustration with Breath of Sindragosa, and I really do want to hear your comments about this down below. Those of you guys who are really good at Frost DK, please let me know about this, because what's frustrating, in my opinion, about Breath of Sindragosa is that it's difficult to generate runic power sometimes. There isn't like you are just always sort of passively doing it with when you're spending runes, right? Of course. But besides that, there are very few ways to generate runic power. We get Horn of Winter here, which does it. Your Howling Blast will do 5 runic power each time it damages an enemy. Horn of Winter gives you 25 runic power, of course. And then you have Empowered Rune Weapon, which you can get 2 charges of it, of course, if you want to. If you were doing a Breath of Sindragosa build, you'd probably want 2 charges of it because it gives you 5 runic power instantly and then every 5 seconds for 20 seconds. That's still not a lot, right? That's only 25 runic power, I think, in total. 4 times 5 is 20, and then another 5 initially. So I guess I just struggle to understand how you're supposed to keep Breath of Sindragosa up, and I'm wondering if it's sort of a later into the expansion thing. Like maybe Breath of Sindragosa will be much, much better later in the expansion when you have like higher amounts of haste and higher amounts of crit, and those stats are going to help you, particularly haste, giving you attack speed and then rune regeneration, which allows you to spend your runes quicker, which allows you to generate more runic power. Like I'm wondering if that's going to be the case, because it just felt like I wasn't necessarily able to keep up the biggest Breath of Sindragosa windows, even though I tried several times. Let me see what this one was. This was a good one here. This was probably the best one I had. So this was on the target dummies. I did end up doing about 47k sustained damage. We had a couple of Breath of Sindragosas that were really, really good. So don't get me wrong. It's not that it's terrible. It might just be that I don't like playing it, and I feel like I'm playing it badly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the onus here is probably on me that I don't like this style. I would prefer the obliteration style. But this does work. I just feel like I don't have a good grasp of how to make it work like the best. I feel like I was doing it okay here. We did almost 50k sustained damage on 4 targets, but I just feel like I wasn't doing a very good job. So just so you know, there is a build that works. Breath of Sindragosa works. You got Glacial Advance, making everybody vulnerable to frost damage. Chill Streak's really good. Breath was in there, and I used a lot of Frost Scythes to just help generate runic power and only spend 1 rune each time I did it. So that was that was my breath build. That was maybe the best breath build that I've done. And then I think we did an obliterate build, which was less damage. Where do we? Here's an obliterate build here. This was about 44k, almost 44k. So this has got obliterate in it, Remorseless Winter, and Glacial Advance Howling Blast. I just find that this is easier to play, and I feel like it can do a consistent amount of damage, and I don't run out of resources. And I'll talk about it in a second here, but I just wanted to compare the two. To end my Breath of Sindragosa rant is that I want you guys to tell me how this works really, really well, and if it's like something that you guys have toyed around with yourselves. Just let me know in the comments down below. I think mostly what I'm frustrated with is I don't like builds that rely on one big cooldown. And if you like screw up the big cooldown, or if the tank doesn't pull a ton of mobs into your big cooldown, then you like don't do any damage. I think I really enjoy builds that have a more consistent cadence to them, a pace that's just like you're just doing a good amount of damage all the time, not that you're doing like a very small amount of damage and then you press breath and you're doing like giga chad damage. I understand that. I think that's how this operates, and I think that I just don't really like that kind of style. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I would really love to hear from you on that. That being said, what's the build that I did run, and I did do a dungeon a second ago, and unfortunately I kind of popped in halfway through the dungeon. I can't really control. We're doing heroics right now. I'm going to be doing Mythic Plus this weekend, so stay tuned for that. But this is basically the setup that I had. Let me give you a couple pointers, I think, on the spec side. You basically are always going to want to take Frostworm's Fury, I would say. It ends up doing about 7 to 10% of my damage, depending on how things are going. And it's just incredible, because you get to cool it down here, right? So 50% reduced cooldown. So it ends up being a 1.5 minute cooldown instead of a 3 minute cooldown. It's calculating that for me right now. It just does so much damage, and actually has really good utility in Mythic Plus. It freezes all enemies hit for 3 seconds, and you're going to see it in the dungeon footage when we get there. On top of that, I really do enjoy Chill Streak, and unfortunately with this Obliterate build, I have to go so far on the left side of the tree that I can't pick up these extra Chill Streak points. There's probably a way for me to do it, and I need to just reevaluate my entire build here. Maybe I could get rid of Biting Cold. But I really like Biting Cold a lot, and I really like Gathering Storm to buff the Remorseless Winter. You can see the Remorseless Winter damage is huge. 12% of our damage. I think most of it's coming from a couple of talents over here that make it really, really strong. But Chill Streak still did 7% of our damage just all on its own. Chill Streak is insane. It is such a good talent. You should take it in every Mythic Plus dungeon you run. Getting the bonuses for it, like Enduring Chill, for example, can actually buff its damage from like 7% up to like 11%. So it can actually be incredibly strong. But Chill Streak's amazing. Frostworm's Fury is amazing. The rest of the Obliterate stuff is good. It's actually just quite simple. I took Rage of the Frozen Champion. Obliterate has a higher chance to give you Rhyme, and then Howling Blast generates 8 runic power while Rhyme is active. Bonuses there. We obviously have Pillars of Frost, and then down here we're getting Obliteration. While Pillars of Frost is active, Frost Strike, Glacial Advance, and Howling Blast now all grant Killing Machine. That's a huge bonus there. So let me show you how the build works, and then I'm going to show you some dungeon footage really quick. Again, no judgment here. You know, I'm not the best at this, but I'm going to start out with a Glacial Chill Streak, sorry. Actually, I might start with, where do I have for Remorseless Winter? Each rune spent. So we start with Remorseless Winter into Chill Streak, and then we're going to pop our cooldowns and go, okay? So Remorseless into this. We'll go Chill Streak. Let's do this. Okay. Then we go here. So then we're going to cleave with Obliterate as best we can. Cleaving with Obliterate. Obliterate, cleave. Obliterate, cleave. Obliterate, cleave. Okay. Now we're going to chill for a sec. Now we're going to do another one. And we're going to go Obliterate, cleave again. Obliterate, cleave again. As many times as we can. We want to press Obliterate to get that cleave. Now it's gone. We can kind of chill out. We're going to do dump our runic power. Now we've got, this is back. We're going to try it again. Get Remorseless Winter up first. Boom. Here we go. As many Obliterates as we can get. Here we go. We've got Pillars of Frost and our Death and Decay on the ground. So we want to be cleaving that. The cleave is done. Chill Streak's back. That's kind of the gameplay there. You're kind of pressing... it's a lot of Obliterate because... Obviously, we have a lot of talent points into Obliterate, but it's this Death and Decay that comes up. So we're waiting now. Watch this. Here we go. Death and Decay is down, and we Obliterate. And we Obliterate again, and then we're going to do this. Into Obliterate. This. Into Obliterate. Try to get as many Obliterates into a Death and Decay as we can, because it cleaves, and it does so much damage. We're going to wait for our cooldowns to come back here. I just feel like this build... generates so much extra runic power. I don't know what it is. It just feels really good. Okay, here we go. Death and Decay is coming. Chill Streak first. Death and Decay. Then we go. Boom. Boom. As many Oblits as we can get. We reset our Oblits because we have Pillars of Frost going, which is really good. And there we go. We're kind of done there. So that's the build. It's going to do about 50k if you're playing it probably better than I am. That's 50k on 4 targets. Remember that. So the more targets we have, like there's very few caps here for Frost DK. So like, for example, Howling Blast hits all enemies. Remorseless Winter hits all enemies. Glacial Spike hits all enemies. Those are your 3 big heavy hitters there. So this is what the damage is going to kind of look like. And I'll show you some gameplay footage in a second. So of course... Obliterate way at the top there because we are doing an Obliterate build. That's just the way it's going to be. So Obliterate is way at the top, and then on top of that, sorry, next to that you're going to have Glacial Advance, does tons of damage, Remorseless Winter, and then the Frost Fever Chill Streak. It's all there. So you can see there's a lot of talents here that are doing like 8 to 10% of your damage, and that's just how it's going to go. And then Obliterate's going to be at the top because you're buffing it so many times. So it's really, really good that way. So we started out, I came halfway through the dungeon here, of course. I'm killing a bunch of frogs, which, you know, is a little bit unfortunate, but I wanted to get. But you can see, you know, our damage, we're doing 65k here. Yes, I did do a Frostworm's Fury, but because you have such a low cooldown on Frostworm's Fury, you might as well use it, man. It does so much damage. It's crazy. So we'll get past these frogs here. Let's get past the frogs. Down here, this is like 3 target cleave. This is exactly where you would want to have Death and Decay. Again, 2 3 target cleaves, really, really good. Your obliterates are going to do double damage, right? Now, I just decided to pull all the mobs down here with a Bombo Limb, and we get down to the open here. Throwing Glacial Spike through as many enemies as possible, and then we're up to about 40k there. Here's 2 target cleave right here. This is perfect. I have Death and Decay down already. This is literally the exact scenario you want for the Obliteration build, where you can just put Death and Decay down and do as many oblits as you can possibly get to try and cleave. Here comes Frostworm's Fury. Big damage here. All the ads were gone. But anyway, we're cleaving again. Death and Decay. No, it's not down yet. I had it down, but it wasn't down. Anyway, the enemy died. But the damage just is really, really good. It helps us with that 2-target cleave, which we didn't have before. So here's a boss fight. Decent damage here. This is the Gulping Goliath. This is good because we get to build up the Icy Talon buff from our Frost Strikes. And then we also get to do crazy AoE damage if we want to. There's Chill Streak right now. I just threw a Chill Streak. It's bouncing around. We can throw Glacial Advances through all the enemies. Get Remorseless Winter back up. We're doing 30k on a boss fight. Really, really good stuff. Fantastic damage. And again, the utility on DK in general is just so disgusting, guys. I mean, like, it's so crazy. You have double Death Grip and a Bombo Limb. You're freezing all enemies with Frostworm's Fury. You have Self-Sustain with, Icebound Fortitude. You can sacrifice your pet to get Leech. You've got Death Strike, of course. Did I not Frostworm's Fury here? Come on, man. Hit it. Hit that button. There we go. Boom. Like, Frostworm's Fury is just up all the time. And, of course, you have Anti-Magic Shell and Anti-Magic Zone. Just so much utility out of a Death Knight. It's good to see that they do lots of damage as well. Upwards of 50k there. We got Remorseless Winter up here, and I'm just Glacial Spiking all the way through the enemies. Excuse me. Doing lots of damage. Chill Streak, Glacials. Get the Anti-Magic Zone down there. There's a lot of magic damage being thrown out here, so I'm just like, let's just throw this down. Good damage from us. We're keeping up with the Ret Pally. It's good to know. Ret Pally's doing well, by the way. There's people dooming about Ret Pally. I mean, just because they can. Oh, I totally forgot to turn this on. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry about that. There's my webcam. People are dooming about Ret Pally because people just like to doom about that spec. But you can see we're competing here. We're very competitive. This is only Heroic Dungeon. I will try this in a Mythic Plus and see how the sustain damage is. But here's another boss fight. Kajin the Unyielding. Sorry about the animations on the screen. I mean, this is beta, right? What do you expect? We got to hide here because of Hailstorm. Hide at the last second. There we go. More damage. Glacial Spike. I don't think I had... I think I was dual wielding here. Now, I was wielding 2 weapons. Now, the way you're supposed to play the Obliteration build is by just using a 2-hander. And we can look at that really quick at the end if we want to. We'll see. I don't know. I want this video to be too long. But I don't think we're going to look at it today, but that you can see the boss damage there. Good. This is the final gauntlet. My camera was going crazy. I had to fix it. Here's the final little gauntlet here. Big AoE damage from us. Frostworm's Fury freezes everybody for 3 seconds. You can see how valuable that is. It just saves the tank. Like, really a lot of damage there. I can put Anti-Magic Zone down again if I want to. Put it down right there. Save ourselves from some magic damage here. Amazing, amazing utility out of the Death Knight. And the Frost Death Knight is doing lots of damage as well. So Death and Decay is down. I'm cleaving a bit with my... I think I had Pillars of Frost running there. Just amazing to be, like, getting double damage out of your Obliterates now. Like, there's just something about that that's very, very strong. So here's the final boss fight. I think we end up killing him before he can even phase, because, again, this is just heroic. So Remorseless Winter's up, and Pillars of Frost is running? I think it's running. We have a lot of haste because we have Lust running. It feels so good with all the haste. We're doing almost 30k on true single target. This is a true single target boss fight here. 27k, 28k there. If I get a couple more procs, it's going to go up. There you go. We did about 25K by the end. We actually caught up to the Enhancement Shaman. I think I look at the overall damage here, and we actually did more than everybody else. We did about 32K overall in that very short session that we had there. So, again, it didn't have, like... But there's the damage breakdown from the dungeon. Howling Blast, Remorseless Winter, Obliterate. There it is. Frost Fever, Glacial Advance, Frost Worm's Fury. That's how it's going to look, basically. Let me just skip back to here for a sec. I'll actually get my webcam up. I'll just show you really quickly how it looks on with the two-hander. I do want to show that because that is typically how you're going to play this build. So let's run back. Let's put our two-hander on. Okay. Two-hander. Fallen Crusaders on there. So let's try the same build once again. This is the Obliterate build. I'm not going to showcase the Breath of Sindragosa build today because, again, I want to hear what you guys think about it. But here is the two-handed Oblit build. Again, you are going to take... Oh, I don't have that. Ooh, I got to take that. I guess we sack some Remorseless Winter damage. We do need this. Might of the Frozen Waste. So wielding a two-handed weapon increases Obliterate damage by 30%. So if you do want a dual-wield Obliterate build, you don't have to take this, which is interesting. But if you want to, then you have to. Here we go. Here we go. Chill Streak. Let's get this down. Even more important that we are cleaving. Oh, forgot to do this. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to get some runes built up here. Okay, and then we're going to go like this. And cleave. And cleave. And cleave. There we go. Good cleave there. It's a lot of extra damage. Cleave as many times as we can when we're on Death and Decay. Little mini game that you get to play. And maybe you won't want to play it, and that's okay. But you do get to play it if you want to. Okay, we get Death and Decay back up. We're going to pop it and then into this. Here we go. There we go. I don't know why it didn't reset there. That was buggy. Try and always try and get as many of those cleaves in as you can. Death and Decay is coming back. We're going to do this. Death and Decay is down. We're going to cleave. Cleave, 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 baby. You might get usually 3 or 4 on average. 3 or 4 obliterates in that Death and Decay window. And that's pretty good. Remorseless back up. We almost have our cooldowns back. I'm going to do one more rotation with Frostworm's Fury coming in here. There's Chill Streak. I got to spend my runic power. I'm capping. So that's my bad. Here we go. Let's go here into here. And we're going to do this. We've got Pillars of Frost running. And we have our cleave because Death and Decay is there. There we go. So that's it right there. We'll do one more of these. We got attack speed right now, or haste, sorry. And a Abominable Limb. And get this down. Now we're cleaving. There we go. That's the build. So we'll look at the breakdown there. Almost 50k, 47k. Obliterate, of course, doing way more damage there. And you can see we cast it 32 times, and it hit 51 times. So that's the cleave effect happening because of Death and Decay. The damage from Death and Decay is going to be negligible, but the cleave that you're getting from Obliterate is going to be quite good. So, yeah, really good there. Glacial Advance damage is really crazy. So that's it, guys. That's what Frost Death Knight is looking like for the Obliterate build. Let me know what you think about the Breath of Sindragosa build. I do want to hear from you guys. Would love to hear all about that. But I love this new interaction with Cleaving Strikes plus Death's Echo. I think that's a very interesting new mechanic that they've introduced. It's a little mini game that Frost Death Knights are going to have to play. I'm not sure if you guys are going to like it, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.